So in this phase, you're going to learn everything you need to know to place your first inventory order with your supplier and how to ship your products from your supplier to the Amazon warehouse. So let's get started. Let's first look at the two main ways how you can ship your products to Amazon if your supplier is overseas. So you can either go with air shipping or with sea shipping. Now, both of these options have their advantages and disadvantages, so let's quickly look at what they are. In terms of the shipping time, for air shipping, it's going to be around 5 to 14 days. And for sea shipping, it's going to be like 30 to 60 days. And in some extreme cases, it's even going to be longer. For example, if one port is suggested, then you can look at like 120 days sometimes until your product finally arrives in the Amazon warehouse, especially in the last couple of years with the entire world situation that was going on. The shipping times were rather on the longer side compared to the shorter side. In terms of shipping cost, it's going to be a lot more expensive doing air shipping compared to sea shipping. So usually you're going to look at around a 3 times higher price to ship your products by air. Now, the complexity is a lot lower if you do air shipping compared to sea shipping. However, if you do sea shipping and you need to organize it yourself, then you definitely want to hire a freight forwarder, which I'm going to show you exactly how to find one. And then this company will arrange everything for you and will just manage the entire process for you. And they have all the experience, so you don't really need to worry about the complexity too much if you go with sea shipping. Now, if the products that you want to ship are very heavy, then it's definitely recommended to go with sea shipping because the cost obviously is just going to be a lot lower compared to air shipping. And if you have big inventory orders, then usually it's also the better way to go for sea shipping. And for very light and small items, it might make a lot of sense to actually go with air shipping just because of how much quicker the units will arrive in the warehouse. Sometimes if your products are very light, if the shipment is light, then the price difference isn't even that much. So then you might actually want to go with air shipping. So for most of you watching this video, you're probably going to go with sea shipping just because of how much cheaper it actually is to ship your products. However, in some cases, it actually makes sense to go with air shipping, even though it is much more expensive. So for instance, if you already have a product selling on Amazon and you notice that you're going to sell a lot more units per day than you initially expected, and you're going to realize that you're going to be out of stock for like 1 to 2 months if you decide to go with sea shipping, then it probably makes sense to ship your products by air, because then you're going to be back in stock a lot quicker and you're not going to lose out on the profit that you would have lost out on if you would have to wait for the sea shipping to arrive in the Amazon warehouse. Now let's talk about ordering your first inventory from your supplier. The first thing you want to make sure is that you've already created your Amazon listing and leave it there for a couple of days just so you know that your product is not going to trigger any restrictions that you're going to have to deal with before you want to order your first inventory. Then also, before paying your supplier through Alibaba Trade Assurance, you want to make sure that all the details of the order are in the chat in the Alibaba system. Otherwise, if something happens and there's any problem, then you're not going to be able to get a refund if all the details are not on the Alibaba official communication system. And then usually you're going to have to pay 30% of the order amount up front. And after the manufacturing is completed and the shipment is ready to go out, you're going to pay the rest, which is 70%. Sometimes it's also 50-50, kind of depends on the supplier, but you shouldn't need to pay more than 50% upfront for your order. Then I would highly recommend to pay through Alibaba Trade Assurance because of that protection. However, if for some reason you want to pay through PayPal, then definitely pay through goods and services and not through friends and family. Because when you pay through goods and services, you're also going to be protected as a buyer. And when you pay through friends and family, which does come with lower fees, but then if something happens, then there's no way to get your money back. Now, a big question is how many units you should order for your first inventory. And the optimal amount of units you should order for your first inventory is so many that you will not run out of stock before your second order arrives in the Amazon warehouse. So you can use this formula right here to determine how many units this is going to be. So it's going to be the lead time, which is going to be the time from when you place your order to the time when the manufacturing process is finished and the orders are ready to be shipped, plus the shipping time, so the time it takes from your supplier to the Amazon warehouse, plus the decision time. So this is going to be the time from the time when you launch your product to the time when you want to decide to place your second order, so you know exactly how many units you should order for the second inventory. Then you also want to add a couple of days as a buffer time, and this is going to give you a number of days. Then when you multiply those number of days times the estimated sales per day, so you're going to need to make an estimation of how many units you think you can sell per day with this product. You can use Jungle Scout to look at your competitors, how many sales they're making per day. And using that data, you can make an estimation of what you think you're going to be able to sell per day. Now, this is just going to be an estimation. It's not going to be 100% correct, but it's still better than just guessing. And then the days times your estimated sales per day is going to be the order quantity that would be optimal so that you will not run out of stock. So here's an example. If you're going to have a lead time of 20 days, you're going to add 20 days plus 30 days shipping time plus 20 days decision time plus 7 days as a buffer is going to be 77 days. Then the 77 days times 10 sales per day on average is going to be 770 units. Now, depending on your budget, you're not going to be able to order 770 units for this example. So in this case, it would be better to just order a lower amount and then just use the profits from your first inventory to then order your second inventory as quickly as possible if you notice that your product will work out. And it's not that bad if you're going to be running out of stock for just a couple of weeks. You're going to be able to gain your rank back pretty quickly when you order your second inventory as fast as possible, and you're just going to be out of stock for a couple of weeks. A few terms you want to be familiar with before starting the shipping process are EXW and DDP. So you're going to get a quote from your supplier, and if that quote is in EXW, what that means is that you're just going to pay the supplier for manufacturing the products, and then you're going to be responsible for getting the products from the supplier's warehouse to the Amazon warehouse by using a freight forwarder. If you're going to get a DDP quote, it means that you're going to pay the shipping fee to the supplier itself, and then they're going to be responsible for getting the products from their warehouse to the Amazon warehouse. So the simpler method would be to ask for a DDP quote and then let the supplier handle the shipping process. However, if you want to make sure to get the lowest price possible for the shipping, it's better to ask for an EXW quote and then look for a good freight forwarder and arrange the shipping process using that freight forwarder, because usually the quote that you get from your supplier is a bit higher than what you would pay using a freight forwarder. So this is really up to you. If you don't mind managing your shipping yourself using a freight forwarder, then go for EXW. But if you want to have it as simple as possible and you don't mind paying a bit extra, then go with DDP and let the supplier handle the shipping.